Welcome back to The Explainer. We're getting right into it today, diving straight into the term structure of interest rates and yield curves. Now, if you've been following the financial markets for any amount of time, you already know that even a tiny, seemingly insignificant shift in bond rates can literally send the stock market into a tailspin. So today, we're going to unpack the actual mechanics behind those numbers. We want to understand exactly what the market is pricing in and how it ripples out to impact the broader financial landscape.
Here is our roadmap for today. We'll be hitting 1. Defining term structure, 2. The players, 3. Visualizing the curve, 4. Decoding the shapes, and 5. The market seesaw. Let's jump in.
Section 1. Defining term structure, the foundation.
Okay, so what actually is this? At its core, the term structure is simply the relationship between the return you receive, that's your yield to maturity or the reward, and how long your money is tied up, the time to maturity or the wait. Think about it. If you're locking your capital away, you're obviously going to evaluate the compensation you're getting for parting with that cash over a specific time period. It's effectively the price of time.
Moving to Section 2, the players, corporate treasurers versus investors.
The real-world application of this concept is basically a constant, high-stakes tug-of-war between two main groups. On one side, you have corporate treasurers. They're managing a company's cash and trying to decide whether to issue short-term or long-term debt to fund their operations. Their goal? Always seeking the absolute lowest borrowing cost possible. Now, on the other side of the rope, you have the investors. They are weighing whether to buy that short-term or long-term debt to maximize their risk-adjusted returns. So if a company wants to borrow capital for, say, 20 years to fund a massive expansion, the investor has to look at that and decide, hey, does the interest rate they're offering actually justify locking up my liquidity for 2 whole decades? Section 3. Visualizing the curve, the data in action. To actually track that tug-of-war we just talked about, professionals use the yield curve. And a yield curve is literally just the term structure drawn out on a graph. If you look at the bottom horizontal axis, that's the years to maturity, your wait time. And running up the side vertical axis is the interest rate, your reward. By plotting out the interest rates being offered for various timeframes, from just a few months out to 30 years into the future, we get this incredibly clear visual snapshot of exactly what the market is pricing in for the cost of borrowing capital over time.
Which brings us to Section 4, decoding the shapes. What is the market saying?
Now, this curve isn't just a static, boring line. It's a shapeshifter. It can take on 4 distinct shapes depending on what's happening in the market. The first, and definitely the most common, is upward sloping. We consider this a normal environment. It just means you get a higher interest rate for locking your money away for a longer period of time. Makes sense, right? Generally, the longer you have until a bond matures, the more interest rate risk and macroeconomic exposure you're taking on. So investors naturally demand a higher yield to compensate for that increased volatility over a 20-year horizon compared to, say, a 2-month horizon. Next up, we have a flat curve. This is exactly what it sounds like. The market is basically telling us, hey, short-term and long-term rates are paying out exactly the same yield. If you lock your money up for 1 year, you get 5%. Lock it up for 10 years, you still get 5%. We typically see this when the market is in a state of transition. Investors aren't demanding a premium for long-term risk anymore because they're anticipating a major shift in the broader rate environment. But here is where things get really interesting. Sometimes the dynamic flips completely upside down into a downward sloping or inverted yield curve. This means you're actually getting paid less for holding long-term debt compared to short-term debt. It is incredibly counterintuitive when you factor in risk, right? You're accepting a lower return to lock your capital away for a much longer time. While it's rare, it is a massive signal. It usually tells us that investors expect interest rates and broader economic growth in general to slow down significantly, so they rush to lock in long-term rates right now before they drop even further. And finally, we have the fourth shape, the humped curve. In this specific scenario, intermediate-term rates, usually right in that 5 to 10-year range, are actually paying out more than both the very short-term and the very long-term ends of the spectrum. It literally forms a hump right in the middle of our data. This reflects a very specific, uncertain market sentiment. Basically, the market is perceiving the greatest risks to be concentrated in the medium term, rather than immediately tomorrow or way out on the distant horizon. Section 5. The market seesaw. Bonds versus stocks. So why does the equity market care so much about this? Well, how this term structure impacts the broader financial landscape is a total domino effect. Let's walk through it. Step 1. Imagine bond interest rates rise. Suddenly, the yield, that reward for holding the debt, starts looking really, really attractive. Step 2. Because the reward is higher, investor demand for those bonds shoots up as capital naturally flows toward the best risk-adjusted return. Step 3. Capital is finite, right? If investors are pouring their money into newly attractive bonds, that demand gets sucked directly out of the equity market. And step 4, basic supply and demand takes the wheel. When the demand for common stock decreases, stock prices fall. This right here is exactly why equity investors monitor bond yields relentlessly.
Knowing how these interconnected dominoes fall completely changes how you view the pricing of time. The term structure isn't just some academic theory. It is quite literally the plumbing of the global financial system. So, as we wrap up today's explainer, I want you to ask yourself, is your own financial strategy actually ready for the next time this curve decides to bend? Keep your eyes on those interest rates, track the shape of that curve, and you will be reading the exact same signals the market uses to price the future. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one.